What's going on, everyone? I'm DK, and today we're diving into something that I've been waiting all month to do, and that is a top 10 list of my favorite Funko Pop announcements for this past month of March 2026. And like all of the monthly lists that I do on this channel, it's very difficult to wind it down to only 10 of them. But it all comes down to what I think stood out the most to me, whether it's by the design or the detail of it, the hype around it, or it's just straight up giving me the aura of I need to add this into my collection ASAP. So make sure you stick around to the end because my number one pick, yeah, you're gonna want to find out what that ends up being. So let's get right into it with my number 10 pick, the Amazon exclusive Victory Dance Godzilla. And I think they did a great job with the details involved with this pop, especially adding the little base underneath it, where in most cases nowadays it would be classified as a Pop Plus or a premium, but I believe if I'm not mistaken, it's not that case, and that's the regular, what is it now, $14.99 USD for a 4-inch Funko Pop. Maybe it is a little bit more for this one specifically, not only being an exclusive, but the pop being a Supreme Pop in the limited edition program, limited to 9,500 pieces. However, I'm not really the biggest fan of Godzilla. I just think that the detail looks really cool on this, which is why it's at the bottom of my list. Coming in at number on my list, the specialty series exclusive Legends Mara Jade from Star Wars. Now, I do like me some Star Wars, especially when they make something brand new for the set. Not a Darth Vader who so happens to be either multicolored or some sort of specification like artist series that no one gives a damn about. Especially when they dive into characters that hardcore fans of Star Wars would know about. But once again, like I mentioned with the Godzilla pops, although I have seen Star Wars before, I'm not really familiar with this character and I don't see myself adding this into my collection. Coming in at number 8, the Chase variant of Ember Lumen from Elemental. First thing I want to say is that I am so glad that Funko finally did Elemental pops. For every single Pixar movie, Funko has made at least one pop for regarding that movie, but for some reason they had left out Elemental, even doing pops for the newest Pixar movie, Hopper, before Elemental was even announced. So I'm glad that they did go back and make pops for Elemental, and I guess it doesn't really matter whether it's the Comet or the Chase that I could go with, but I went with the Chase because of the object that she has in her hand. Plus, I'm going to be bringing up another reason why it's a little bit low on this list, because coming in at number 7, the Wade Ripple Chase from Elemental. Now, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, both the Ember and Wade pops have chases that are glitter, which I can see that making sense for the Wade because of the fact that he's water, and then in the scenes where he's like holding some sort of heat, you could see like a bubble within the water. But I felt that a way better chase for the Ember would have been the glow-in-the-dark specification, considering that her element is fire. And when you look at the Wade pop, you can definitely see the glitter effect look really nice with what they're trying to accomplish with this specific character. But overall, I knew that both of these pops were almost equal to where they had to be back to back on this list. But once again, I don't see myself picking up these pops, considering that if I'm collecting anything Pixar related, it's Toy Story. Coming in at number 6 on my list, the Happy Gilmore Moments. This is absolutely hilarious. Happy Gilmore, my favorite Adam Sandler movie of all time. Of course, the scene this is replicating is when he's trying to get the ball in the hole and he's yelling at it saying, "Go home! That's your home!" Or something along the lines of that. I can never remember lines, especially being a wrestler and getting hit too many times in the head. But I think what makes this pop also great, and it's something I alluded to when talking about the Back to the Future moments they did last year with Marty and Doc, is adding that mouth to the pop that makes it so much better. But I do have a little bit of a gripe with this pop, and it's a gripe that I have with a lot of pops that are either deluxe or moments, and that is when you have it in box and knowing that there's so much space within the box. I think this is something that definitely could have benefited from either being a plus or a premium instead of taking so much room in your collection because of the box size itself. Coming in at number 5, also from Happy Gilmore, Shooter McGavin. When the first wave of Happy Gilmore pops came out, I believe it was 5 years ago at this point, because I believe when they released originally, it was for the 25th anniversary, and this year is the 30th anniversary. And I think all of us were wondering when those pops came out, why didn't they make a Shooter McGavin? So I'm glad that for this wave, we do have a Shooter McGavin, and I love how he does have the pose that he normally does. And although there is a bit more detail with the moments than there is with this pop, of course, we have seen multiple Happy Gilmore pops of himself, but there's never been a Shooter McGavin, which is why it's one spot up on this top 10 list. And if you're enjoying this top 10 list thus far, definitely consider hitting that subscribe button for more content like this. Coming in at number 4, the CM Punk and Larry covers for the WWE lineup. Now, I remember when this originally had leaked and people thought that it was a fake pop, but it ended up being real. And I do love the fact that not only do we have another CM Punk pop, but adding the addition of his now late dog Larry is absolutely amazing. And this is going to be very difficult to get because this will be a part of the April 2026 limited edition drops, more specifically a Grail at 750 pieces. But a reason why I haven't had this much higher on the list in the top 3 portion is because they made it as a covers, while I feel like you could have pulled this off as just a regular 4-inch pop.
Shout out goes to the unacceptable viewer.
And the reason that they ended up getting a shout out is because they joined our YouTube channel membership, which only cost $1.99 a month. Not only do you get the shout out, but you do get lots of other perks, including early access to every single video and short that we produce on this channel. So definitely consider joining our YouTube channel membership. It will be greatly appreciated and will go a long way of helping out this channel a lot. So definitely consider it, but let's get right back to the video. Coming in at number 3, the Alliance Entertainment exclusive glow-in-the-dark Buzz Lightyear from Toy Story. Like I alluded to earlier, when it came to the Elemental Pops, I do collect Toy Story Pops. It's actually my #1 set of Pops that I collect, if you didn't know. However, it is just another Buzz Lightyear Pop, but I do like the specification of glow-in-the-dark much more than when they did the Diamond Collection 3,000 piece pop that I have yet to add to my collection. But I guess if I have any gripes towards this also is the box. And what I mean by that is because this is the exact same molding as the Buzz Lightyear from the Toy Story 4 lineup. And now when I have these pops in numerical order like I normally do, it's gonna be in different spots rather than being all by each other. But regardless, I am going to be adding this to my collection at some point for sure, which is why it's very high up on this list. Coming in at number 2, the Fanatics exclusive Kurt Angle for the WWE lineup. Oh, it's true. It's damn true. I am so ecstatic that this specific moment is being turned into a Funko Pop. Of course, Kurt Angle playing the guitar with the cowboy hat, singing Jimmy Crack Horn, I Don't Care. And it is a sought after pop because it is a part of the limited edition program, more specifically as a legendary limited to 1,200 pieces. I think this actually marks the very first Kurt Angle pop where he actually has hair on his head. But before we make it to that #1 spot on the list, let's talk about some honorable mentions. The first honorable mention on my list, the new Esmeralda from the Hunchback of Notre Dame. I'm really liking the fact that we are getting some Hunchback of Notre Dame pops, considering not only is it an underrated movie, but this year is the 30th anniversary. So I feel like there's going to be more pops down the line, hopefully very soon, maybe for San Diego Comic-Con, we finally get a pop of the main antagonist, Claude Frollo. Which, speaking of that convention, stay tuned this week, I'm making a predictions video for that convention. The second honorable mention, Kal-El from Happy Gilmore. Really awesome that they made this character into Funko Pop form. Of course, it is the character that is played by Ben Stiller. It's such a hilarious moment, even though he is an a-hole to Happy Gilmore's grandma. He does have some funny moments like, oh, your hands hurt? Well, you're gonna be on landscaping. And the last honorable mention are all 3 of the Green Day pops. For those that may not know, Green Day is my favorite band of all time, and I actually own all 3 of the original Green Day Funko Pops. And when these were originally rumored, I was so ecstatic to hear about that because I was was likely going to add them with my OG pops. However, with the result of what they look like, I felt very underwhelmed with how they pulled these off. So I'm very disappointed to the point where I don't even know if I'm going to pick these up. But coming in at number 1 on my list is the event exclusive glow-in-the-dark Exodia Necross from Yu-Gi-Oh! Yu-Gi-Oh! Is a set where I basically have every single pop for, but I am so glad that Exodia Necross is being made because I've been requesting that for years. But I know for a fact that I will 100% be adding this to my collection, which is why, of course, it's gotta be at that number 1 spot. It's such a banger. The glow looks nice on it as well. But that's the end of the list. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, but see you in the next video.